All right, so we are doing another mousepad review, and this time it is the Dream Gamer Thunder glass pad by One Tapped. I believe that's their company name, One Tapped. As far as I'm aware, they are a Chinese company. I paid roughly $150 for this pad. For the 500 by 400 millimeter size, they offer 450 by 400 as well, which is slightly cheaper. Now, I do want to note that I bought it from the Fumo shop. I'm going to leave a link in the description. That's where I bought it from. However, with the shipping that they work with a company called World Shopping. World Shopping basically is almost like a third party. Like, you send them money to buy items of whatever it is that you want, specifically if they are able to, and then they buy it and then ship it out to you, and you pay for shipping for that, because not every country or shop is able to fully do international shipping on their own. But currently, right now, as of the time of recording, I'm not sure if this is a promotional thing or if they've changed policies recently, but for the pad, they say is roughly $85. Maybe that's just bad conversion of yen to USD, but it's at $85 roughly with free international shipping according to Fumo shop. That I'm not too sure. Or also, I'm not too sure if that is for the 450 by 400 or 500 by 400, since the 500 and 450 aren't available right now, or at least for this pad specifically, this design. So not entirely sure on that. They do have a free international shipping on some of the pads that I've seen on the website. Again, I will link it in the description. You could go check it out. Hopefully it is actually free international shipping right now, because that would be even greater for a complete breakdown later on that I will talk about. Now, in terms of usage for how long I've been using this pad, I've only been using it for roughly a month, actually less than that slightly, because I've been using it in tangent with the esports Cosmic Wraith pad. So this is going to get very repetitive every single time. I always warn you guys for this part, but I feel as though I always have to note this for anyone looking into the glass pad market who is new. You are going to have to clean your pad every single day, basically, depending on where you live, your conditions, and like stuff like that. If you shed hair, if you are messy or anything like that, you are going to have to clean your glass pad pretty much like 2 to 3 times a day, more than likely, because you are going to feel just about every little bit on your pad, every single little thing, any piece of crumb, dust, hair, whatever, especially if it gets in between your mouse and the pad, like a little piece of hair just sitting here on the skate. It's going to be very noticeable versus a cloth pad, because the cloth pad, depending on the pad you have, for the most part, it'll like sink down or like be squished and you won't really notice it as much. But with a hard pad or a glass pad, it's going to be very, very noticeable. And I always want to say that with every single one of these reviews, because that in itself can be a deal breaker for some people. But moving on to some of the bad things with this pad. Firstly, this one isn't even much of an issue, but it's just kind of a like why type of thing. So the pad out of the box doesn't come with a rubber base of some sort, silicone base, whatever, underneath. Instead, they come with these 2 sheets of these rubber dots to go underneath the mouse pad. So as you can see, there's like nothing back here. It's all smooth. And then I put on the skates, or not skates, the feet on 3 dots on each corner. Like I said, they give you 2 sheets, 12 on each, so 24 total. The 3 dots on each corner is how they showed it on the FAQ card. However, if you want to, you could put on the rest for better grip if you need it. For the most part though, for me, I don't necessarily need it, but I will show you something in a second. So surprisingly, with just 3 dots on each corner, if I put my hand here, it actually does not hold that well when I apply pressure like this. As you can see, in comparison to the last glass pad, the Cosmic Wraith one, which also has something similar of like little strips on each corner of the pad, that didn't hold too well, and during gameplay I said the pad moved for the Cosmic Wraith. However, with this, even though despite the fact that it moves very easily with a decent amount of pressure, surprisingly, during my gaming sessions, it does not move at all. I'm not sure what kind of magic they got going on there, but it surprisingly is very grippy to the table. Maybe it's because the dots are slightly larger or covering a bit more surface area in comparison to the Cosmic Wraith. But if anything, again, there are more dots that come in the package. So if it's too slippery for you, then you could add more dots underneath. Now on to the next problem, which is probably going to be the biggest problem depending on your mouse. But an issue I had with the Cosmic Wraith pad was the sensor and tracking issues with these two mice specifically. The G-Wolves for HSK 4K and the Lamzu Atlantis Mini, the OG Atlantis Mini. These two had issues on the Cosmic Wraith. However, I did not have any issues on this pad with the Lamzu with the liftoff distance set to 1 and 2. For the Cosmic Wraith, this mouse had issues with tracking on a liftoff distance of 1 but not 2. However, this mouse still has problems with tracking. However, it's only specifically on like certain parts of this mouse pad, such as right here, which I'm very sorry, I just realized my mouse pad is directly underneath my monitor in a way that you can't see that. But like roughly around this area here where it's like most white, and some areas like here it has trouble tracking. So it's perfectly fine here on the anime girl, the face here, anywhere where there's pretty much color. But once it gets to like the white area like here, it starts having some issues with tracking. Same with here, and that is tested with both the low and high liftoff distance on the mouse, as well as the normal skates that comes with G-Wolves, as well as testing with skates that come with this mouse pad, which are 0.1 millimeters thicker than the G-Wolves one. And then also I tried it with Sapphire skates, which are very much thicker than both the G-Wolf skates and the skates that come with this mouse pad. Obviously Sapphire skates aren't supposed to be used with glass pads, but with that added height, I wanted to see if that would in any way fix the issue. However, it did not. Again, with all those different skates, I tried the low and high option for liftoff distance on this mouse. I even updated the firmware just in case if for whatever reason that helped with the sensor tracking. It did not. It still had that same issue in this area. I also want to note something really quick. The mice I've tested so far, obviously as I said, the Lamzu and that HSK, but I've also tested the Death Adder, and then also now the Lethal Gaming Gear LGG, Lethal Gaming Gear LA1 Superlight, which recently somewhat came out. Both of these I have not had issues with tracking. But to add on to this as well, on the FAQ card, I can't read it. However, they do have some like English parts here. Like I can see on here it says LOD, and then they mention the hero sensor and the 3369. But I do think that's kind of nice to note that they are aware of that problem, assuming that that's what that FAQ card is for, stating any issues with any potential sensors and to change the liftoff distance if needed. And as far as like bad goes, that's really it. But moving on to the good of this pad, this pad is advertised as a speed pad, which it is. It very much is. It's not super fast in comparison to the Super Glide. The Super Glide, I would say, let's say a 10 out of 10. I could not recommend that pad to the average person who wanted to get into glass pads because it was just way too fast. This pad, however, I would say is definitely like a 7.8, 7.9, where it's definitely fast, but it's not uncontrollable. But as I stated, it does allow for some control, unlike the Super Glide. So another thing to note, and it could just be because it's cold in my area right now, so I'm not sweating as much. So far, I haven't had like any issues with like my arm sticking to the pad, especially like even with long duration usage. Like the longest I've gone was like 6 hours of gaming on here, and no issue whatsoever with my arm sticking or my hand sticking. I've pretty much had that issue with every single glass pad that I've had so far. Now, moving on even further with the good, it actually comes with quite a bit of stuff. So we'll get into that. So as I've stated earlier, it does come with these rubber skates, not rubber skates, rubber feet for the pad. For underneath, they give you 2 sheets, 12 on each, 24 total. Use them as you wish. It comes with 2 wet wipes. I believe they are meant to clean the underside of the pad before you apply those rubber feet, but you could use them to clean the top as well. Does a very good job of cleaning. That's how I found out that the wet wipe, I had to open one up for the video. Cleaned very well. Obviously it's a wet wipe. Speaking of wet wipes, these are alcohol pads to clean the underside of your mouse for skates, which I already did with the Death Adder V3. They also give you skates, 3 sets of different skates. These are all dot skates. These ones here where my index finger is, these are flat skates. They are specifically designed for glass pads and gives a good amount of control. So if this pad itself isn't already very controlling in itself, if that makes sense, these give you added control, which is very, very nice. Now the next ones are down here, the ones towards the front. These are slightly curved. These are also very controlled, but they are more so specifically meant for both glass and cloth. Unlike the flat dot ones, these are again more in line for just glass. And then moving on to these ones where my thumb is, these are their version of like ice skates, like tiger ice skates almost, but dots of what they have. These are again meant for both cloth and glass pads, but they are meant for speed. So if you want even more speed for this pad, then you can do that, which is what I did with the Death Adder. However, I will say the durability of these dots, at least the ice ones, the fast ones, they don't last all too long. Like these are still very usable and fast, but they flatten out very, very quick. And then lastly here we have a arm sleeve, which is insane. So you get all that and then an arm sleeve as well on top of that. However, I do want to note that those other items that I just showed, I believe those are just guaranteed with any purchase of these glass pads. But I believe the arm sleeve is only with specific mouse pads. I'm not entirely sure, because when I was looking at the Fumo shop to try and find more information on more of the items, I believe this they said was with a certain purchase or event. So I think you have to get it with a specific version of the pad, but it did come with mine, and for the most part it's actually very, very nice. The material is very similar to just any arm sleeve, but one thing I will note though, we're gonna pull out the Pulsar one really quick. So one thing I will note here is one little design of this one that comes with the pad that I really, really appreciate, and is part of the reason why I don't like arm sleeves at all. Of the like 2 to 3 that I've tried with arm sleeves, especially this Pulsar one, the Pulsar one is nice, but it still encounters that same issue, which is here, this top part where it's supposed to be grabbing onto your arm. Eventually it does roll like so, like that, and it's naturally doing it down here, but it just happens. And obviously depending on the placement of where it is on your arm, it's going to be a little annoying. I wouldn't say uncomfortable, but it is a little annoying. And if you do have a arm sleeve of some sort where it's as low as this and you're playing down here and it's rolled, it's going to get caught onto the mouse pad, which obviously is very small little thing, and maybe not many people will encounter it, but it's just a little thing to note. And again, just the rolling of that part is annoying in itself, for me anyways. So the lighting's kind of fucking this over because it's white and my light is white and it's right behind the camera. You can kind of see that, but there is a elastic or rubber, but this is on the inside part of the sleeve where your bicep would be. I am very sorry with the focus of the camera, but anyways, as you can see, it like holds on very well to the arm, and because of that part, it's not going to end up rolling. It gives a bit more support. However, I will say it does latch on to your arm a decent amount and constricts your arm slightly, not to the point where you're going to lose blood circulation or anything like that, but over a period of time, the little design, the little squiggly line will just end up being imprinted onto your arm. It's not going to be an issue, but to some people it might, because like I said, it's going to be constricting your arm slightly. So some people might find that annoying. To me, it doesn't, but what does annoy me is due to the size of this sleeve. It's slightly too small for me. So now we are here at the end of the video, and do I think this pad is worth it at $150? Like I said at the beginning, it's roughly 90 to 85. Even if you paid on the high end of 150 like I did, I still very much so recommend it. If you are in the market for a glass pad, I highly recommend it. It is what I wish the Pulsar Super Glide was, where it's fast, but still very much so controllable. And then again, you get skates to change how you want your glass pad to feel. They give you control skates so you could get more control, or if you want it faster, you have the glass, or not glass, the ice skates that comes with it, and you can add more dots, less dots depending on your preference. And then again, the arm sleeve, if it fits you, the arm sleeve is great. It feels great. The little elastic part, like I said, is also a very nice touch. I actually really like that arm sleeve. The skates themselves, I thoroughly enjoyed on the Death Adder when I was using it. With what you are getting, I highly recommend it and is very much worth the 150. And again, right now it's 85 to 90. But anyways, hopefully this video was somewhat informative and helps you with your next purchase in some sort, or maybe not help you purchase this pad. I'm not sure. I don't know. You buy whatever you want, but I do recommend this pad a lot. See you guys later.